I've been blessed to grow up in a family that loves me fiercely and that took me along to church to learn about God. I can't really remember a time in my life when I didn't believe that God existed or that he created the world. But it was a long time before the truth of that, or the truth of who Jesus was, really made any lasting impact on my life. The people who know me best might say that's because I can be a little bit stubborn and very determined. I like to think that it's because God knows that about me and he leads me in a journey of process. Everything that he's ever done has always been undertaken in ways that have a clear journey or that have shown development. The path has sometimes been straighter and easier, occasionally more convoluted and challenging, but he's never left me alone on it. The first real notions I had of who Jesus is was through Girls' Brigade. We were taught to seek, serve and follow Christ. And there were glimpses of what the reality of that meant in the lives of the leaders there. I was really blessed to also have two great friends who were faithful Christians. And they took me along to things where I heard the truth about Jesus spoken, where I was told that Jesus had died for me so that I could have a relationship with God. And Spring Harvest was a really meaningful time for me where I heard that truth and I made a commitment to believe it and to follow God because of it. After that, external world influences really crept in and were in competition with my faith. As a teenager, I was desperate to fit in, and I didn't want to feel that I couldn't do everything that my friends were doing, regardless of what the impact of that might be. The tension between the way that I knew to live, the way that was true and the best way to live, and what was easiest or most satisfying in the short term was constant. After school, I went to Edinburgh University to study veterinary medicine. And at that time, I can look back and see that I'd been a 1-year-old Christian over and over for 4 or 5 years. I knew the truths of God, but I hadn't developed any depth of relationship or intimacy with him. I ploughed ahead into the excitement and newness of university, only to wake up 7 months later and feel a depth of sadness that I haven't ever experienced before. I felt empty, and I felt my life was without meaning or purpose, and I'd been living in a way that had burned me out. I lay in my bed and I cried out, "God, help me." I went home and I told my parents that I couldn't continue at university because I couldn't see a way forward there. Achievement and education up to that point had always been a source of self-esteem for me, so to be without those made me feel rootless. Once again, thank God that the God of process gently called my name, as he had consistently been, and this time I listened. I applied for more courses through UCAS, and after shouting at God again, "I don't know what to do, help me," I turned down all the places that had been offered, and I waited. He answered by providing me with a place at Heriot Watt through clearing, and it turned out to be the place through where the Christian Union, my faith and relationship with God, grew deeper with lasting impact. Waiting on God has always been one of the hardest things for me to do, because my whole being is geared towards answering or fixing a problem myself. And he knows that. He knows how I'm built. And through the years, he's gently guided me to areas where actually that can't be the way that I function, sometimes in order for me to build reliance on him. There have also been many times in my life where I haven't been able to fix situations myself, and where any human answers I find haven't really satisfied. When our son Ethan died, there seemed to be no human answers as to why things happened the way that they did. At points, I thought that the rawness of my unanswered questions and the pain of the loss might never leave me. One of the few solaces that time, aside from the support of Scott and family and friends, was the deepest, tangible presence of God. In my worst and hardest moments, I knew God was with me. He held me close, and I felt his presence. He knew the force of my despair, because he'd experienced it all himself in losing his son and in dying on the cross. Sometimes in life, there aren't any answers to the deepest struggles that we face, at least not this side of heaven. But there are foundational truths about God that I've always been able to stand on. God is a loving God. God is a God that does not abandon us or leave us when things are hard. Whatever the experience that we're facing, God doesn't always want or intend for it to happen, but he can use it to shape who we are, or to reveal more of who he is, and to presence himself with the journey through it with us. When this world's brokenness creeps in, when things feel too hard to bear, or you can't see the way ahead, he is standing with you on the journey. He's holding you and urging you forwards and loving you always.